So you saw things like the Blackpool eliminations and all that kind of stuff. It'd be me telling that story. I was going to read some of it to you that I've written so far, but actually I think it's because you guys are just it's just a small group of us, it's easier just to tell you one of the stories. And it was mentioned earlier that I am responsible for getting Kylie Minogue on Doctor Who. So there's going to be a whole chapter of the book dedicated to that. But it's quite an interesting story, and I thought, do you want to hear how we got Kylie on?
Yes.
She's a national treasure. You're all fond of Kylie, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should
All
be.
your Australians.
Yeah. You should be. Hey? She's your queen. I mean, Kylie is an incredible entertainer. I've been a big fan of her since 1987. So the story of getting her involved with Doctor Who, you'll be aware possibly of her creative director. Thank you. Her creative director, Will Baker, who's a friend of mine, and he's also a big Doctor Who fan. So we met up at the screening for Series 3, which was Martha's first series, and we were chatting. We'd had a few glasses of wine, and he said, I said to him, actually, we should get Kylie onto Doctor Who, and laughed. And he said, do you know what, I think she might do it. So Kylie, as you know, was ill 2006, 2007, and when she recovered, she wanted to do lots of new things, and one of those was return to acting. And it hadn't occurred to her that might be Doctor Who, but Will spoke to her and said, look, the guys have suggested that you do Doctor Who, do you fancy it? And she wasn't sure. So Will said to me, can you send me a DVD rather, of A Runaway Bride, which is the Christmas special with Catherine Tate in it. He said, I'm seeing Kylie this weekend and I'll play it to her and see what she thinks. So I did, and I kind of thought it funny that Kylie was going to be on the sofa with her little duvet over her, watching Donna being chased by robot Santas. But yeah, the message came back, she was interested, but Russell T. Davis and Julie Gardner had to go to London and meet with her and talk through the script ideas, which they did, and well, the rest is history. Obviously, he then wrote Voyage of Adam, which was the 2007 Christmas special. So I was very excited to have Kylie on set because I'm a big fan. I also felt kind of responsible. Because I'm friends with Will, and Will was doing the photography. He asked me to be there every day, so that was great. I didn't normally, as part of my job, get to go onto set. Normally, I was up in the office doing boring emails about logos and stuff like that. So I got to go on set and watch the filming. But slight problem. Huge Kylie Minogue fan. Didn't want her to know. I kind of knew that Will would have said that he's a fan, but I didn't want to be like, you know what it's like. I'm sure you guys have been like it in front of Kylie or whoever. I actually wanted to talk to her about a 3-inch CD picture disc from Japan, and I thought maybe I should do that. So as a result, I'd see her, and she'd go hi, and I'd go hi. I'm like, asking, why are you doing that? I couldn't help myself, and I was just trying to be so cool. It came out the other way. She must have thought it was really weird. We got to know each other a little bit more. I think it was in the second week we were doing the filming. It's the filming when it's the scenes where Astrid first meets the Doctor on board the ship and stuff. They were filming all that stuff, and there was a bit of in between bit when they were changing lenses and stuff like that. Me and Kylie were stood just chatting. She started talking to me about how she'd been watching footage the day before with Will of the concert the day before she was diagnosed with cancer, and she was saying, it's just really weird to think, that big life-changing moment was hours away, and there I am on stage performing. She's like, I remember how I felt I was really tired, but knew there was something wrong. It's just so weird. And inside, I'm stood there going, oh my God, not only is Kylie Minogue talking to me, but she's opening up about, some of her most intimate moments and stuff like that. She just looked at me going, oh God, yeah, it was just phenomenal. And I just went, yeah, and walked off. And I'm walking away kicking myself, and it was just crazy. I wrote all these kind of memories in the book, but I tell it from this perspective of how this show was made as well. Because one of the things that happened when we shot Voyage of the Damned, about 3 or 4 days in the shoot, David Tennant's mother was very ill, and he got a call from his dad to say, I think the end's near. Now David is incredible. He ended up taking, I think, 2 days off work. He went back to Scotland. She died that weekend. He was back at work on the Monday. I mean, he must have felt dreadful. Having lost my mother, I'd actually lost my mother a month before, so I knew what it was like. But he knew that they couldn't film Doctor Who if he didn't go in, and he did. And I didn't see him ever with a down moment during that whole period. His heart must have been breaking, but he was just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, we carried on filming the episode. It was really, really great, and to have Kylie on board was exciting. Because you've got to remember that Kylie, I mean, she's big now, but back then she was really big, certainly in the UK. After Can't Get You Out of My Head and all that kind of stuff, she was great. And we had people around the BBC going, oh my God, I can't believe Kylie's in the show. That really helps us do promotion and stuff like that. And they were really keen to find out how much she would do in interviews-wise and stuff like that. So I kind of managed all that traffic that was going backwards and forwards to her. Now, on the last day of filming, so we filmed, everything's filmed out of order. I think the last thing we filmed was the scenes where the doctor and Astrid kiss. Do you remember he sort of turned her into like a ghost? And it was kind of funny because they had to shoot him kissing her, and then they had to take her away and shoot it again with him kissing nothing, so that it could make her look like a ghost. And I teased David beforehand, and I was like, oh, we're going to see your method. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, we're going to see what you like kissing thin air. We're going to see, what the tongue action you do is. He's like, he laughed and was like, oh my God, I hadn't realised that. But yeah, this is one of my favourite, and this is a silly memory, but it's one of my favourite memories. During the lunch hour, we got to do some photos. I got some photos with Kylie, which I was really excited about. And she knew, so I told Will that one of my dreams was to dance with Kylie. You know the Running Man dance? She did a lot at the beginning of her career. And I had this strange fantasy about doing that. I didn't realise that she told him that. Sorry, he told Kylie that. So during the lunch hour, she came up to me and she went, it wasn't quite the last day, it was the penultimate day. She said, I hear there's some dance, I'm not going to try the Australian accent. I hear there's some dance moves you want to do. And I was like, oh yeah. And she did, she started doing it. She started doing the running. I said, shall I see if I can still do it? Oh, I'm not going to.
Come on.
Come on. I don't know if I can still do it, but something like that.
We're getting the feet.
She started doing that. I haven't got the feet.
We got the
right
feet
now.
action.
This is 10, 12 years ago. So she started doing that, and I started doing it with her. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in my element. David Tennant walks on, going, what are you doing? And we're there going, we're doing the Running Man. He comes and joins in. So me, David, and Kylie are doing the Running Man on set in Swansea. So I thought this was, the ultimate moment of my life. Little did I know it was only going to get better. So that evening, the next day was actually the last day of filming. We were filming out in the Cardiff city centre. But that night, Kylie held a party, because she was, after that day off, she was off to Ibiza. So she held a party for everybody at the St David's Hotel in Cardiff. Because nobody had to work until the following night, everyone went out and they were getting drunk and stuff like that. It was really, really good. It was really nice of Kylie to do that. So I got there a bit late. The hotel in Cardiff had a function room, and I got there a bit late. And as I came through the front doors of the hotel, Kylie was walking down in an amazing silver dress, walking down the stairs, and everyone from the crew, David, a lot of them, were all behind her walking down. So what's going on? And Kylie said, I am never a diva, but I'm being a diva today. That function room is the most boring room I've ever been in my life. Should we move the party to the bar? I was like, I guess that's fine. There's 100 people with her that were all going to go into the bar. It's a very posh hotel. And she said, come with me, come with me. So she linked arms with me. So I was very, very happy. So it was me and Kylie walking arm in arm through the St David's Hotel through to the bar. 100 cast and crew behind us. And I just walked up to the bar and I said to the barman, Miss Minogue would like to move her party here. Will that be a problem? And they said, no, that's fine. So I was very, very happy. So later on that evening, we were having some drinks, and I end up with David and Kylie again, and we're talking about, I said how funny it was that we were all doing the Running Man. So we started doing it again, all three of us just joking again. Freema walks past, going, what are you doing? We're doing the Running Man. Freema comes and joins in as well. So I'm doing it the second time in the day, but there's Freema Rajaman is also joined in. So obviously a lot we did was really serious and hard work and all that kind of stuff, but I got to have all those brilliant memories and all that fun stuff as well. So I've written about it in my book, which is coming out later this year. It's not just about me dancing with Kylie, there's some other stuff in it as well. There's a kind of sweet story to the end of the Kylie thing, which is, obviously the episode was really successful. I don't know how it went down in the UK, but in Oz, but in the UK it still is the highest rating episode of modern Doctor Who ever. So I'm very, very proud of my involvement in that, and we got to do a big launch party, really, really pleased. That summer, we all got to see Kylie again the following summer. So it was the day that we did the first Doctor Who prom at the Albert Hall. So a lot of us were in London, including Murray Gold, obviously Russell and Judy. And Kylie was playing at the O2. that evening, so we all got taxis over to the O2 and we all got to see Kylie live. So she'd given us tickets, we got great seats, and it was really, really good. And afterwards, Will said, "Do you want to all come and meet Kylie?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course we do, of course we do." But it was a bit of a weird circus to get to meet Kylie after us, because there's all these show parties going on. So first of all, we went to the main after show party at the O2. So we went backstage, and it's a big bar, and I noticed a couple of dancers, and I was, "Where's Kylie?" And they were like, "Oh no, you won't meet Kylie yet." So we had a drink there, and then we said, "Right, now you have to go to Terry's party." So we got through to a smaller party, and Terry was her manager, and he was holding a separate party. Like, okay, there's no Kylie here. And they were like, "Oh no, you won't meet Kylie here." Okay. So then a few of us got taken on to another party, walked down the corridor, and we walked into this room, half the size of this room, and Kylie's there, just Kylie on her own with a glitter ball, wearing a silver dress, just dancing away. And she's like, "Hi, welcome to my party." So so you had to go through that series of parties before you got there. So yeah, we just hung around there, and it was really nice. It was Julie Gardner's boyfriend's birthday, so we all sang happy birthday to him, and it was great. And then one by one, everyone had to go and sort of say goodbye. I realised it was my turn to go, and I went up to Kylie. I was like, "Oh, it's been great, thank you." And she's like, "You're welcome." I was like, and I said, "So I guess I'll see you." And she went, "I'll see you around." And I knew that was it. That was my final goodbye. I've not seen her since, but yeah. So that's my story about Kylie Minogue. But yeah, what else can I tell you? Well, you must have questions. Now you know a bit about me and about the job. Surely you've got tons of questions. John's got one.
I've got one. So obviously as brand manager, you're getting out there. Do you have any approvals power?
Yeah, so this is an interesting story actually, because anything that was produced had to be seen by somebody on the BBC, and that was my job. And they tried to make the job as easy as possible. So things like designs, they created a style guide. It's a book of styles of shapes and logos and colours and all that kind of stuff. And then I would approve that, and when I say me, I would approve it on behalf of Russell or Stephen, and sometimes I would show them stuff. So that was approved. And then they would try and say, "Okay, now you approve that, you don't have to see all the different t-shirts." But I insist on seeing everything, because as a Doctor Who fan, I know what you guys like. I don't want you to get something that's not 100%. So yes, I insisted on seeing everything, which was exhausting. But there were some things I saw that I didn't really like. Colours and shapes that just didn't seem right. They wanted to do silly things. They always wanted to do silly things with monsters. There was one calendar I saw, and they put monsters in swimwear. I know. Somebody thought it was funny, and it was like bikini shoots with Simon Mendes. So it was like, and all they done is like Photoshop them on and stuff like that. And I said, "Look, there's an absolute no to that." And they're like, "Yeah, but it's fun, and Doctor Who's about being fun." I was like, "Yeah, but the humour in Doctor Who doesn't come from that. The monsters always have to be scary. If you take away the scariness of the monsters, then you've taken away all their power." It's like a character like Strax, Sontaran Strax. He's very funny, but that comes from the script, not because he's wearing a bikini or whatever it was they've done. So yeah, there were some problems. But there was I was reminded of something earlier on when people used to show me stuff. I love anything that's orange. Don't know why. Orange and yellow I really love. So quite often they would show me a design for something and I'd really hate it. And somebody clocked that if they just change it to orange, I'd like it. And they'd show me later, I was like, "Oh, that looks much better." And I realised afterwards that they worked out what they were doing. But yeah, I guess I saw kind of everything, and some things were more involved with. If you really, really liked it, then it's all my idea. If you didn't like it, then it's not something I was really across. That was a joke. But any more questions? Surely, yes?
I was going to ask, how did you originally get approached to take on this job?
Well, yeah, again, I was already working at the BBC, so I was working on Top of the Pops, which I'm sure you've heard of. I suppose, is Countdown your equivalent to it, or was Countdown?
Yeah, 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and so that Top of the Pops has ended now, but yeah, I was working on that show. So I was already working at the BBC, and then the first series of Doctor Who, when it came back, I absolutely loved. I thought I just want to work on that, and I knew the people that made the website, so I sort of got myself onto there for a few months, and then I heard about the job coming up. So basically, the Doctor Who had expanded. Russell T Davies foresaw it becoming huge and needed other people, and I did just apply for the job, and did an interview like anybody else. I think I had a lot of experience in a lot of things, which helped. Being a fan helped. That's not my qualification, that's not why I got the job, but it did help, I think. And maybe I was in the right time at the right place as well. And then when you do a job like that, it's a lot of responsibilities, but you kind of make it your own, so anything you're particularly good at, you do a bit more, and anything you're not so good at or not so keen on, you pass on to other people. But yeah, so
what
that's...
about negativity about things that people did not like? Do you ever get those filtered through to you, or was that led to a special department?
What kind of negativity do you mean, and who from?
Things that you approved of, and people like us saying, that's crap.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it happened an awful lot. It's a weird thing, Doctor. I mean, with merchandise, you guys are 100% right. If you say that T-shirt or that box set was rubbish, then who are we to say you're wrong? But often fans are critical of the series, and that's part of being a fan. I'm fans of as well as Doctor Who, other things, and it's the stuff you love to hate. But I think, and this very much came from Russell and Stephen as well, you can't listen to the fans too much, because you can't make the show just for the fans. When you make the show just for the fans, this is what happened in the 80s, and watching Mordred Undead earlier, I love it, still love it, but it stops being fun for the general public, and if those millions of general public stop watching, then you've lost it. So
Lots of Art Deco with that one.
yeah, there was, wasn't it? Quite robust, definite weeks. It's got David Collins in it as well.
Bridget.
Yeah, but anyway, so yes, and there was stuff that came back. So there were some questions about some of the things we did, like what we thought were teasers, that some people thought were spoilers. So it was, again, a Radio Times cover, so I'm not sure how much you would cross it, but we put when Daleks, the human Dalek sec.
Yeah.
That was on the cover of Radio Times, and that was out before the episode, and that was a spoiler, and I saw a lot of fans complaining about that.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it stupidly or blindly. We were just aware that we'd have a cover on a magazine that would be in every supermarket across the country, and that people might look at it and go, oh, that looks like an exciting episode of Doctor Who, I'm going to watch it. So
wasn't it a lot of the things that people thought were spoilers were actually forced because the Mirror or someone was going to...
it's very true. It's completely true. In the Mirror, I don't know what their contacts were.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, yes and no. So there's a lot of times they had spoilers and they were going to publish them so we can give them something else. So they might, because it's an interesting thing, spoilers, because knowing that River Song is the daughter of Amy and Rory, if you knew that in advance, that's not the fun bit. The fun bit is the journey. So the spoiler is not the end journey point. Sorry, the enjoyment is the journey to finding that. My biggest problem was fans that did that, and because fans would come to filming, and we would try and keep anything like that under wraps. So we'd do it in a private garden. That particular scene where they talk about that was in a private garden. And some fans had listening devices, and they're listening in, and they saw it as their duty to go onto the internet and tell people. It's like the BBC are trying to keep this from you, but we're going to reveal the truth. It's like it's such an odd mentality, and I know what it's like. There are musical artists that I follow whose albums have leaked that I've listened to in advance because I'm a fan, and you want to know that stuff. You kind of feel a bit dirty afterwards, and it's the same when you hear Doctor Who spoilers, isn't it? So I do understand why people want to hear stuff. I don't understand why people want to spread that stuff.
Oh, that's called freedom of information.
I think
Is it freedom of information?
Not really.
I
It's
think
not.
it's also power.
Power,
It's
yes.
power and control.
Yeah.
So, yes.
What about when those episodes leaked?
Oh, well, that was devastating. So, again, because everything is about me. I was involved in that. So do you remember that evening? It was a Sunday night.
Shall I commend it or?
Well, I'll tell you exactly the story. I might not put this in the book because it's probably some confidential stuff, but I'm going to tell you all you guys now. So, I was...
filmed.
It's being filmed.
It's
Do you
being
want to
filmed.
stop the film
But
at
it
the
will be
stage
edited.
and then...
You can carry on. You can
Okay.
carry on. It's one thing to be saying it in Australia, it's another thing to be putting it into print and publishing it around the world.
Well, you don't know where this might go.
We were in a pub having a drink, me and Gareth and some friends, and had a couple of glasses of wine, not too much, thank God. And somebody messaged me on Twitter going, first 6 episodes of Doctor Who leaked. And I thought, yeah, right, whatever. And they were like, no, they really have, and stuff like that. And it literally had happened minutes earlier that the first links had gone out. And this person knew me because they follow me and contacted me. So I called up Brian Minchin, who was the exec producer that I worked for at the time, and said, well, this has just happened. And he was like, shit. And he made a few calls and stuff like that. And yeah, so the first versions of the first 6 episodes are leaked. So what happened, and this is slightly confidential stuff, but it's fine. Are you listening?
Turn it off,
It's
dude.
okay.
I don't know.
part of those wonderful things that leaked that year. So not really great, but
Well, before your time, but the very first 3 episodes of the modern series leaked as well.
they did,
And I
yes.
think it was pretty much exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
They were,
it's via Canada, wasn't it? I think, or have I got that?
yeah,
wrong?
I can't remember, but again, I think it was a translator's unsecured thing, and people just worked out they could change the name of a particular
Yeah,
web address, and they got the first 3 episodes.
yeah,
Because I remember we actually had Stephen Moffat out here as a guest when that happened.
yes.
Not a very happy camper.
No.
Well, I mean, he was only a writer back then, so it didn't really affect him as much. But because like it wasn't even his episodes, but he was, it's just he was philosophical about it.
Well,
These things happen, and it is kind of
the thing is, once
Obviously.
people don't want to leak your stuff, that means you're not interesting anymore.
yeah.
So although it's a battle that we were fighting, we were glad to be fighting it, because as soon as that stopped, then, and I'm really proud of what the current team are doing. They're really keeping secrets back, and I think they're doing that by telling absolutely nobody, and we felt we couldn't do that because things like action figures and stuff like that. To make those, they've got to go into production a year beforehand, or what have you, if they want to come out against the series. So I'm not saying that they were leaking stuff, but I'm saying the only way of keeping it back is to tell nobody, and there is a price to pay in terms of merchandise for that. But yeah.
International branding, was that your responsibility, or your team, or
No.
did you communicate?
Yes and no. So we would, when you say international branding, what do you mean exactly?
I mean Europe, US, Australia.
And do you mean the?
Merchandise.
It's kind of all,
TVs,
yeah. Well,
Because it's all, some of the covers are different, some
Yeah.
of the branding, some of the marketing was slightly different.
so we want everything to be the same. We'd want it to be worldwide the same, and we live in a world now where everything is kind of out there all at the same time. But for whatever reason, Germany might say we'd rather use this picture, and we'd say we'd rather use this picture. But you have to listen to people, and if they say, look, okay, but this will sell better, and this is why it will sell better, we'd go with it. Trailers were an important thing, so every TV company, whether it's ABC or Fox or whoever is showing Doctor Who around the world, would want to cut their own trailers, and we try and be flexible, but we couldn't have something where, because Doctor Who's all about spoilers, we didn't want them to put out a scene that they thought was innocent but then wasn't, and so we would try and be across that. So we would control it as much as we can to give it a single message, but we'd have to have flexibility, but if there was a reason behind it. I
Yeah,
think.
because I was going to say culturally, people are.
So this is what's really interesting in the UK. It was pushed as not as a children's series, as a family series. So but what I mean by that is everything came from the sensibility of people of all ages liking it, and so you wouldn't push it in a certain way. In the States, it is an older fan thing. It's not so much that something that kids watch, and so they'd have a different culture and a different way of a different tone to it. So we try and have to make it all fit. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to do, and you mentioned the team and stuff. It wasn't, as I said, it wasn't just me. I had a boss, and I had someone below me, and people besides me, and we were all a huge team. I suppose I spanned across the whole of it. And like I said, I'm the show off that comes and sits in front of people, but there were lots of people involved.
How many people were in the team roughly?
I'm in it 3 to 4, but it's difficult to say because I think we saw the pictures team as part of us, and the web team as part of us. Anyone that's involved in the promotion and marketing, probably into the 10s and 20s. But a lot of things I had a complete say in or function in, definitely. Like I said, if it was good, it was me. Hi, Lauren.
The Smith era, it certainly, there was a field that was very much trying to reach new audiences,
Yeah.
particularly with the Series 6 intro. When I was a little girl, I had an imaginary friend, and
Yeah.
was that something that was deliberately trying to target the American market around with the Illyrian?
It was definitely trying to do something different. And first of all, it came from Stephen with Series 5. So he wanted to make his mark. Russell had done his thing, and he wanted to do his thing, and he wanted it to feel more like a magical fairy tale. And then what happens is that message goes passed on to other people, and they interpret that however they want to do. So the people that did the trailer around Series 5, it was kind of down the rabbit hole kind of thing. And it was around the same time as the Alice in Wonderland film by Tim Burton came out, so it was kind of that kind of feel and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a deliberate move to it, and I think the Series 6, because you've got those first 2 episodes set in America as well, which, and BBC America had a bit more investment in it, and there was a need to try and reach America, but in a way that tried to not dilute the Britishness of Doctor, because that's part of why Doctor is successful, because of its Britishness. So, you know, if you want a show to be successful, you have to give stuff to whoever's paying the bills, but at the same time try and keep it core to itself. So yeah, those things happen deliberately to try and reach a new audience. I think from Series 5, 6 as well, and this came from Stephen and Piers Wenger, who was in charge then. They wanted it to feel a bit darker and a bit more mature. Things like the branding became a blue rather than an orange colour and stuff like that, and that was deliberate. But every area of Doctor Who's got its own look and appeal, I think. That's part of why it's been around for so long, I think.
What was the most surprising call you were asked to make?
Surprising call I was asked to make. Oh God, this is where I should have rehearsed a bit beforehand. B, not agreed to do this after 48 hours. Do you know what? This is such a bland thing to say, but every day was surprising. Every day was unique and different. You would get to do absolutely crazy things. Like going out to the public, we did a lot of stuff in the public with Monsters, because we might be promoting like the Doctor Who Adventure Games or whatever it was that would be out that week. And we go to the public and engage them, a bit like the Peter Capaldi red carpet thing that we did. And walking around, you'd have a Cyberman, and they would go out and stand in front of people and do all this kind of stuff, and everyone would be really scared. But then you'd have to take them back, and you'd be there walking, and they'd be knackered, and you'd be walking around with your arm around them going, "It's all right, Pete, I'll take you backstage now, and you can take your head off." And stuff like that. It's kind of you can have a fag in a minute as soon as we get behind the scenes. So there was some odd stuff happen. Most surprising call. Do you mean as in like something I had to make a decision on?
Yeah.
That
You know, like something like someone had given this thing and said, "Yeah, we think this is a really great idea. What do you think?"
Do you know what I already talked about? It is the Mr. Men thing. I thought it was a terrible idea. I thought it was a really, really bad idea, and I feel that we turned it into something really good. There's probably other stuff like that. A lot of the time, we did stuff and made it work, but it wasn't a good idea at the time. I don't think we ever really stopped doing something because we thought it was bad. Do you know what? I'm going to think on that question. Next time you invite me here, I'll answer. But there is probably something. Yes?
Do you ever sneak into the background of a shop?
Yeah, of course I did. What do you think? I tried. I was a bit annoyed actually because I'm an attention seeker. I was also like it as a kid. The Doctor Who Confidential team knew this, so they would deliberately not film me and stuff. And I would hear them talking about, oh yeah, Edward's in the back of that. They knew I could hear. Let's cut that bit out. But they included me every now and then. So one thing I'm definitely in. Bells of St. John, beginning of Series 7B. Do you know the wall of video screens that are there? What's the character? Celia Marie's character?
Yeah, the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi stuff. I'm in that, so I'm in there somewhere. I've got a stripy blue and white tug on, so you can look out for me there. Obviously, I've got my hand onto the front cover of the Entertainment Weekly. I only got one credit on screen. I got some credits on screen for some of the musical stuffs, but on the very last episode, Twice Upon a Time, I'm credited at the end because I said, "Look, it's my last episode, please." I've never had a credit, so I did get on that. I can tell you a funny story about that. So Christmas Day, I had a load of friends around, and when that credit came up, I paused it and I was like, "Hey!" And I took a photograph of it, and my friends around Christmas Day, and we carried on talking. The TV, I think it switched itself off or went on to standby and stuff like that. And like, right, EastEnders is on, and let's watch EastEnders. And it's playing. Why is EastEnders not on? And I'm tweeting, why is EastEnders late? It's still not on. It should have been on half an hour ago. People are like, well, EastEnders is working for us. And I'm like, this is really weird. What happened? Because I paused it, and then it had started playing again. We were like an hour behind, you know, like paused TV. And then my friends who were with me said, okay, everybody, we're an hour behind because Edward had paused TV to take a picture of his own name up. So there we go. Didn't see how that story was going to end, but there we go. We got to a satisfying conclusion. So a lot of people have said to me, who was your favourite, and who didn't you like? There was one person person that I didn't like.
Should I
And
switch this on?
You can keep it going because I was wrong. So the one person I didn't like very much, and I wasn't alone in this, was Clive Swift, who played Mr. Copper. I just didn't like him. I just thought he was a grumpy old man. Because I don't know if you've seen Keeping Up Appearance, and his character's quite sweet in it. I remember we did photos with him. It's the same day as I did the dance with Kylie, and I'm chatting to him. I said, "Do people ever come up to him and go, Richard?" like that? And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Oh, and what do you say to them?" And he said, "I tell them to fuck off." and he looked at me in the eye as if to say, "I'm telling you to fuck off as well." I just really didn't like him. And I don't know if any of you are aware, but he did an interview that got published in Doctor Who magazine.
Oh, I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and they no holds barred didn't get on with it at all, and I think a few other people didn't like him, but the story comes around. So when we did and Russell actually brought this up when he died, actually, and he put it in Doctor Who magazine. When we did the screening in London at Christmas time for that, and it was a massive thing, it was huge. They had the Science Museum, and they had Nick Cave was there. That's the type of scale of it, where he was like absolutely enormous. And Clive Swift walked in, and Russell saw this. He said he was completely shocked. He'd been in Doctor Who before. I think he was in. Is he in Resurrection of the Daleks? I think. Revelation. Sorry, yes, in 1984. And he just saw it as a job, and he was like, "Oh, Doctor." He had no idea that Doctor Who had grown in scale and expectation and stuff like that. And he might have been a bit grumpy, but I think he just didn't understand it. But he was there at the screening with, I think it was his granddaughter, and he completely got it. Do you know what? When I watched him on screen, his performance in that episode is absolutely fantastic. Mr. Copper's performance is absolutely brilliant. So I take back anything I said to him. I think he just didn't quite get it, and ultimately he was really good. Didn't like James Corden very much, but you probably heard rumours about how he's not a very nice person. Yeah, I'm not alone in that. Everyone else, genuinely adorable, lovely. It's like I had 3 doctors when I was there: David, Matt, and Peter. All absolutely lovely. Great memories of all of them. I honestly couldn't say a bad thing. I think my favourite memory is being drunk in a minibus with Matt Smith singing "Don't You Want Me." It's another Human League thing. There we go. Human League a lot. This is when we were in the States, when we were filming The Impossible Astronaut, and we were in Utah for the final bit. And that night we all went out, and we had a few drinks at the bar because we were flying the next day. And I just remember we were all in a minibus on this way to literally a spit and sawdust pub we ended up in, and that came on the radio, and it was me, Karen, Arthur, Matt, and a couple of the crew just in the back going, "Don't you want me, baby?" So yeah, that was great. It does make it sound like I had 12 years of just being silly and dancing and singing, but seriously, I did a lot of work as well.
One question I want to ask you, was it your responsibility to bring past actors and Doctor Who onto the data set?
Yeah, it was. Well, it wasn't responsibility. That's something I just. Sorry, I was going to read this, and this is much more fun, so I'm putting this down. I did that. So quite often people would be in town because they were doing a Comic-Con, or Katie Manning. Katie Manning was filming a series called Casualty, which is filmed in the same studios as Doctor Who. And I knew these people, so we've done screenings, so I've met people like Katie and all that kind of stuff before, and I would invite them to come to set. And that was great. That was really, really great. And there was a few special things that happened. So we invited Fraser Hines to set, and it was when we were shooting, now I'll never get it the right way around, is it Hellbent? The episode where it's just Peter. Heaven Sent. I always get it the wrong way around. And we were filming that episode, and we brought Fraser to set, and I'd let Peter know beforehand. Things like this had to go on a call sheet, so everybody knew about it. Fraser is adorable, lovely, and he was really excited to be there. He was in his element. And at some point, Peter would come over, and I said, Fraser, and obviously Peter's a big fan of Doctor Who, and especially during that period, I was very pleased to meet him. And nice to meet you, and had to go back to set. And then he kind of stopped, because they were getting ready, he said, "No, listen everybody here now, right, okay? This man over here, companion to the Doctor in the 1960s, if it wasn't for this man and Patrick Troughton, none of you would be in a job today, because these two were like the heart of Doctor Who in the 1960s, and that's what made me a fan, and I just want you to all turn around and give a round of applause." So like 150 people in the crew stopped and gave Fraser Hines a round of applause. So that was lovely. Yeah, we had Annika on set, we had Katie, Louise Jameson obviously, who else do we have? Karen Ford came and visited set, and I don't think pictures of that have been published actually. She wants to keep that to herself. Who else? Sandra Reed, Alexandra Tynan as she now is known, who's based here in Australia, obviously designed lots of 60s costumes, including Cybermen. We had her on set during the World Enough and Time episodes to see the 60s version of the Cybermen being filmed again. So yeah, that was great. So I got the job of being on set with them, which not something you get bored of. One of the great things of this job actually is that I've got to meet those old companions, and since leaving and doing conventions, I've got to know them a bit. So I was watching that Mordred Undead earlier and thinking that only like 6 months ago I was sat in a restaurant. Were you in Germany, Kat? This time around?
Not last year. But
Sat in a restaurant. Sat in a restaurant with Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, Matthew Waterhouse, and Peter Davison was there, and Mark Strickson was there. So it's like my 13-year-old self had known what was going on. It's great. Janet is adorable. I really, really get on with Janet. She's scary. It doesn't surprise you to know. Have any of you, if she ever come here? Yeah. So you know how scary she is then. But she's kind of like, if you give as good as she gives, then she kind of gets it, and she's fine. We get on really well. She's a lovely lady. And just watching that episode again, gosh, she was beautiful, wasn't she? Absolutely stunning. Well, they all were. So I've gone on a bit. Carry on. Next, yes, Harry.
Is there anything,
Henry.
Is there anything that never saw the light of day that passed through your desk that you wish you had?
Yes. So, and it's a funny little thing actually, because they designed garden sheds that were TARDISes, basically. And basically it was police boxes, but they were garden sheds. So they were sold as garden sheds, but they were complete replicas as that. So the company did the deal, and I think, I don't know what happened. These companies, sometimes these licenses are given to these tiny companies that never actually produce stuff, and they never did get an order, which is, I can only think they didn't advertise it enough, because I'm sure you guys would buy one. Because basically the BBC has to have a copy in it of anything that is created, and so if that had ever been made, they would have had to send a copy, and I put my hands up to have that, and I would have had one in my back garden. So yeah, that's a real shame that never happened. I think lots of deals for stuff were done, and then they couldn't be properly realised. There was some Doctor Who jewellery around the 50th that was made of silver, and that was actually quite beautiful, and that never got made in the end, because I don't know why.
Is an American group still doing them, but they're apparently not allowed to call them Doctor Who jewelry. They're beautiful diamonds and sapphires and things.
Really?
Yeah, they had them at Galley last week. But they were told they weren't allowed to call them anything Doctor Who. They have to say they're blue box jewelry or something.
That sounds to me that they're not an official licensee.
No, but they're TARDIS shapes on rings and the things you're talking about. Yeah, I remember the ones you get, that's it.
So it's a really weird thing, it's the police box, obviously you'd think it doesn't, but it does belong to the BBC.
Yeah.
So the BBC owns the copyright in the police box design. Actually this is an interesting thing. Sometimes we'd have to put a stop to stuff, and we wouldn't do it a huge amount, but there was counterfeit toys coming from the Far East at one point, and the reason we put a stop to it is because there were dolls that when their heads come off, they had spikes there. And yeah, stuff like that. It's like, so if anything was making money that could have been going to not just the BBC but the actors, or if it was dangerous, we'd stop it. And the other thing we'd stop was anything that would bring the brand into disrepute. So there was Doctor Who porn at one point that we got shut down. I mean, what you do in your own time is your own business, but I can't even remember what it was.
That's terrible.
Really? Wow. There's obviously that's not something you want. I mean, this chap's discussed it. It's merely the thought. You know, he's just off to download it.
All right. What did you guys think about Etsy? I mean, there is like Etsy. You know, there are so many people putting out.
Well, yeah.
And dodgy t-shirts.
So it's the thing is the thing that a lot of fans enjoy about Doctor Who is they feel an ownership of it. And do you know what, if you're going on Etsy and making your own 13 t-shirts or whatever, and they're not using a logo that they shouldn't or what have you, I kind of think that's okay, because it gives you a sense of ownership of it. I mean, that is not something that would get officially produced, but you're enjoying it here. If you were trying to sell it in I don't know, TJ Maxx or whatever, then it would be different. But yeah, so people would often say, I want to make my own t-shirt for myself, but the company I'm going to says I have to have official confirmation from the BBC. And I would, if I could, I'd phone them up and say just do it. Because if if they're asking for official confirmation, we can't do it. We can't say yes. So we'd have to give them in writing, no, you can't do this. So it's like do and be damned, really. But sometimes I think people just wanted to get that official confirmation so they'd have that connection. And it's a bit silly. But yeah, counterfeit stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's a difficult line to tread really with Doctor Who, where it's been going for so long and people have such ownership about it. But yeah. More questions?
What would Doctor Who might compare to other brands in the BBC in terms of marketing?
I think in the BBC, the only brand, as in commercially exploited brand that would compare would be Top Gear. But even then, it's not on a parallel. There's probably a few children's programs over the years, like Teletubbies and stuff like that have a lot of merchandise. But there are other brands that have got different types of brand management. So what we call Strictly Come Dancing, known across the world as Dancing with the Stars. Do you have it here?
Yeah.
What do you call it here?
Dancing with the
Stars, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that is a brand, so that is a franchise that's sold by the BBC. So it's the same sort of thing, but you make the localized versions of it are made and stuff like that. But I don't think there's anything that's quite like Doctor Who. There's nothing like Doctor Who full stop in life, is there? It's kind of unique. This is something we used to face all the time with internal BBC. They'd be like, okay, we need to do this for the marketing and this for the press release, and I would say that doesn't work for Doctor Who. And they're like, yeah, but it works for everything else. And no, Doctor Who doesn't work. It doesn't work. So things like press releases, they would say, right, we'll send out the press releases on Monday and tell people not to publish until Wednesday. I said, that is not going to work. And they'd be like, no, they do it with everything else. I'd say, it really, really won't work. And they were like, well, why doesn't it work? And I said, Doctor Who fans are everywhere. They are, and they are just so excited. You can't keep secrets. So that's why you got all these funny things like midnight press releases and stuff. It was the only way of handling it. Doctor Who is unique, and I think once people get that, life works a lot easier. Yeah.
Was it a surprise to the BBC that Doctor Who is so unique, that it went on for so long? And
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the BBC isn't a one person or one thought, is it? So you can't really say. I think it was a surprise to everyone when Russell brought it back that it was such a huge success. I don't think anybody, even the team making it, thought it was going to be as big as it was. And I remember joining it beginning in series 2, and I think we were hopeful it might go on for a few more series, but nobody knew it was going to go on that far. And as it got a bit further, we realised it would probably go on to the 50th anniversary, and by the time of that 50th anniversary. And now I think we all in this room know that Doctor Who will come to an end again at some point in the future, but it will never die completely. I think we all know that there will be another version of it, and the kids that are growing up with it now will, if it does go off air, and I hope it doesn't, but if it does, they will then work in TV and bring it back. I think there's something about Doctor Who, there'll always be a version of Doctor Who, in the way that Sherlock and all these other things, Sherlock Holmes and...
It's 3 years older than the USS Enterprise.
Indeed.
It's still floating around as well.
Indeed. Well, Doctor Who is officially the longest running sci-fi series in the known universe. Well, in terms of how long it's been running since, I mean, Star Trek obviously has gone off here. You know, you had that big gap between the movies and stuff, so...
Star Trek was September 1962.
No, 66.
9th of September.
Go off the stage yet, so if there's any more questions.
Oh, just you've been talking about Star Trek. IDW quite famously managed to get the TNG and the 11th Doctor couple of crossovers.
Yeah.
How involved in that franchise marriage were you?
Well, I think they came to us with the idea, and we were really not sure about it to start with. Like, with Doctor Who and Star Trek crossing over is such a big thing, and also such a small thing. It had to be done right, and I can't remember the process, but I think it was talked about quite a bit.
Oh yeah, he went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
There's a Trek novel.
Right.
He also got into trouble from Paramount for because she mixed up a lot of genres, including the Doctor, and it was Patrick Troughton.
Okay.
No. What she did was, this was San Francisco at the Barbary Post time, which was post-Civil War, and it was a story actually set in Here Comes the Bride.
Okay, so we were talking, yeah.
Yeah, but she mixed up a few other people she liked.
Okay.
So you had the Doctor at the time, which was Patrick Troughton, who was unknown in the States because they didn't start their screening until Tom Baker's episodes.
So it's really interesting what you're saying there in terms of what fans do.
Yes.
And I mentioned earlier about how sometimes people would do artwork where they put one doctor's face bigger than the others, and you
That's right.
because they was their favourite. And I always try to push out against that because you just got to be respectful to everybody, and not every, you know, there are Doctor Who stories that I don't like Time Lash very much, don't like Fear Her very much, but you know what, they are someone's favourite Doctor Who
That's
story,
right.
so you can't, once a brand starts acknowledging, I got into trouble once, and it's really annoying because when those lost episodes came back, and I tweeted, because I'd watched Web of Fear, and I'd obviously watched episode 1 of Web of Fear years ago, loved it, absolutely loved it, and then I watched the whole, well not the whole because one's missing, and I tweeted something about, it was good, but not amazing. I'm saying it's good, but I was like, I finally watched it and I said it was good, it was not amazing. Some fans went absolutely mad at me saying, how dare he say it wasn't good? Well, I didn't say it was good. But I think as a Doctor Who fan, I should be able to do that. But at the same time, I do realise that I perhaps overstepped the mark because once somebody from within the show starts criticising its past, then it's kind of like saying everything else is worthless, isn't it? So.
Do you have
No.
were you involved with the
Yes,
brand?
yes, very much.
Were you involved with the brand of the classic Doctor Who DVD range, or was that another?
What you mean? Well,
yourself, yeah, because it's all part of the Doctor Who.
Yeah, kind of. Yes, insofar as anything that happened on classic Doctor Who during my period would go via me. So things like most of the DVDs had come out by that point. I think there were still some that came across.
Web of Fear?
Sorry?
Web of Fear?
Well, yeah, Web of Fear and Enemy of the World that came out later, stuff like that. But yeah, it kind of all got dealt with as one brand. So yeah, I did.
Do you think they'll find any more of the missing episodes?
We're having this conversation over lunch. Do you know what? I reckon there's still some out there. I reckon some private collectors have got some somewhere. I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure someone has. What I think is worrying is there's some fan somewhere that's got Marco Polo episode 1 in their loft and they know it and they're going to die, and one day all their stuff's going to get cleared out and it's going to get chucked away. But who knows? They've not found anything in 7 years, so and the longer it goes on, the harder it is going to be. The good thing, again, we were saying earlier, the good thing about those missing episodes not being recovered is these animations that come in are really good. And I know it's not as good as having the real episode, but at least we've got something really good happening. So.
Well, the new brand is very obviously, you know, one of the crazy things is they're all photos. There's not a lot of artwork, whereas you notice that Jodie is starting to have is very artwork heavy in inspirational stuff. Was that down to you or some other?
So you're saying that it was more photographic then, but now it's more.
Well, it's like the calendars that come out. They're not art. They're all sort of, you know, big primary image and stuff like that. Whereas some classic stuff, there was a lot of art.
I think a lot of it's down to the fact that there's a lack of assets for that old stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of it had to be art. So for every episode, we would do big photo shoots. All the monsters and characters would be photographed in every angle, and you saw that thing I showed earlier with Peter and everybody doing all these poses. So there's so much stuff out there, and I think in the classic series there was less, so they had to do that. I don't know how that works out to what they're doing now, but you've just reminded me of a story. So shall I make this my closing story? Because this is a real fan thing. This is me being an absolute nerd. You know that I think it was the first picture of Peter Capaldi in costume, and he's kind of like that. Is that the right pose or something like that?
Something like that.
He's doing that kind of stuff like that. Yeah, he's doing that kind of like Dr. Mysterio kind of thing. So that was my fault, because what happened is we were doing a load of pictures to announce his costume because he was going to be seen out in public in that costume. We wanted to do something, so we took like over an hour. We took about hundreds of pictures. And we had to get it out that morning because he was going to be filming in the afternoon. And we got it down to about 20 shots that everybody liked. And everybody was looking through them. And Peter quite liked that one. And he liked another one like that and a few others. And nobody could decide on the final 5 shots. And someone said, well, someone just make a decision. And I said, okay, so this picture, the file number was something like E1967. And the others were like E21405 or whatever. And I said, E1967. The year with the most missing episodes of Doctor Who is 1967. So I think we should choose that one because it's the file name. And they all looked at me as if to say, and I think someone just went, okay, let's go with that one. Shut Edward up and stuff like that. So it was my choice that it was like that. years later, his wife Elaine, who was lovely, said, "I really hate that picture. I really hate it when people want him to do that. It really gets on." And she said, "I don't know who came up with that, choosing that picture." And I was like, "No, God, no." Stupid idea. So yeah, that was my fault as well. So. I was supposed to only go on to 15:15, and I've gone on a bit longer, so I hope I haven't disrupted your schedule.
Cool.
But thank you for letting me
Yeah,
chat with you all. So
fantastic.
thank you for
Thank you
so
very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Always nice to have
Well,
you, yes.
if I come back down under, hope I can drop by again.